Okay, theoretically I'm online. Hello everyone, welcome to another stream, mostly of Warframe, maybe entirely of Warframe. I might switch to another game at some point partway through. Let me turn that down. And I am just getting Atlas leveled up as I'd like to do some, informational stuff on him, but I'm not really super familiar with him, honestly, yet. So, less than ideal. Definitely need to do some more leveling. Actually, that's right. I think I made a mistake on my modding. Maybe. Let's see. Yeah. No way, that doesn't quite fit. Yeah, well, I'll fix it later. I mean, I can't fix it. I gotta have more forma instead. That is the solution. Alright, let's do this. Alright, theoretically this should be working on YouTube at least. Yeah, okay, good. Good. Alright, let's see how well we can do in this. Gotta say, I wish I'd ended up getting Atlas a little bit sooner. Is the latest frame I've gotten besides Korra? Yeah, since I had some issues with the quest for him earlier on, and I didn't get it done for a really long time. I still think it's horrible, but what you gonna do, right? Hopefully I'll have a good connection this time. I did this mission just a bit ago and got connected to someone with just a slightly shaky internet connection. Everything was teleporting. It was pretty bizarre. Probably shouldn't even be. Well, I guess it makes sense. Probably the enemy. Oh shoot. Probably the enemy movement is host side, the way they do it. Which is why all the weird issues occur, although you can still kill them without too much of a problem. Did I accidentally remove my HP mod? I feel like I should have more than 360 base health. But maybe that makes sense, since I'm a low-level frame and it levels up with your levels a bit. Oh, thank you, the Spectre Soldier. I swear, like, the last 100 took longer than the first 900. Might actually be literally true. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't keep too good of a track on it. I still think it's really weird that they didn't give Korra a combo mechanic like Atlas's punching. Like, maybe it's my imagination here, but I feel like his like little fist combo thing is just way more thought out than her whip as far as like a melee just like slap ability goes, right? Like the whip only has one animation it does repeatedly. The punching has like multi-hit thing, right? The animation changes if you keep punching versus punch and then punch again. It's got the little combo set up, which is really nice, honestly. And I guess there's not that much more to it, but those two things alone like a big step up right there. I mean, of course, just numerically, that 4 times combo is ridiculous. It increases the damage, the range, and the reduces the energy cost for repeat punches. So good. It just it's like one of those kind of mechanics that just feels good when you use it. You know what I mean? One thing I really don't like about Atlas at the moment is that after his recent bout of changes, the enemies petrified with Orgaze, right, the augment, do drop extra loot. But if you petrify them in some other way, which is possible because of his other augment, was it petrifying landslide? Something landslide. If you do it that way, they don't drop extra loot. And I don't know, it's kind of like obnoxious, and I don't think there's a really good reason for it since Orgaze is shit. And even with the landslide combo, if that worked, it would only be like kind of okay extra loot, honestly. What makes Atlas great coming when? That is why I'm grinding Atlas right now, actually. I've played basically every other Warframe in the game enough to make a video on them, except for Atlas. Let's see. Oh, maybe not Excalibur either. I need to put more time into him. Yeah, those are pretty much like the final 2 that I'm getting to know. Ironic, since you know I didn't do a what makes Korra great, right? No, I didn't. I have a list because I actually can't keep track of what I've done already. But Korra, I have a much better understanding of than Atlas, I would say. You know, despite the fact that she's new, just because of all the stuff I put out on her. She's also not as good. So it's kind of disappointing even to me that I've spent so much time on her. Yeah, let's see. I don't really remember what was new, what's new and what wasn't, or what's been around for a long time in terms of his abilities. I know the rubble mechanic is new, I think, right? Or at least parts of it are. Seems pretty good. I'm having a hard time ever getting a like significant bonus out of it, but the self-healing alone is pretty great. I'm a huge fan in general of frames that have some sort of like way to be self-sufficient with only their abilities and some mods on the frame itself, right? And of course Atlas, with the fact that Rubble can heal you, and you can use Rage or Hunter's Adrenaline, and you basically can have unlimited energy, at least as much as you need, and you can keep yourself alive in missions. You don't need a special way or equipment. Oh, son of a bitch, I didn't get all the... oh man. Fuck. I didn't get all the pickups. I wasn't paying attention. And everyone's gonna extract now. Good amount of damage just using the punch. It was the same when he was level 1 too. That shit's pretty good. Oh, I need to switch out my weapons though. Although I think it won't surprise anyone to hear that when I do make what makes Atlas great video, it's pretty much definitely going to be him punching things. But I think I can probably extol the virtues of how exactly the mechanics of the punch work for a solid 6 minutes at least. Alright, what have I got to... Oh yeah, Boar Prime. Yeah, okay. That's interesting how that looks. I actually have a Boar Riven that I'm having a hard time selling, so I might just invest in re-rolling it and make my Boar Prime super awesome. And since I managed to get one. Sidearms. I just ditch this. No sidearm. No sidearm needed. And melee weapons, I think I'm also behind on my Oh, Vacor Sidon, I haven't leveled this up yet. Well, this is going to make my punches a lot less interesting. I don't like that. Maybe I'll do a non-fissure mission. I guess it doesn't matter which of these I use, does it? Yeah. Alright, what the... Alright, my eyes were totally deceiving me there. Whoops. Okay. Really need to max out my prime pressure point someday. Been a little bit lax on that one. Yeah, just the punching, it just feels pretty good, I gotta say. Solid animation, nice combo mechanics. It's actually pretty viable to do consistently. High damage. It's great. All right, let's just. Yeah, that's pretty good actually. Theoretically, I think this is good enough that I won't drag down a squad. Probably. Gonna be an active hindrance. It's probably fine. How much time is left on that? Hydra on defense. 17 minutes. I don't know. Maybe people will be salty that I'm bringing such bad stuff in, but I'm pretty sure I'll still be able to just punch stuff to death without much of a problem, even with reduced mods. This isn't exactly the toughest mission enemy type wise. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. Well, I guess I wasn't really giving a rundown of the punch, but like the fact that you're invulnerable in the animation is actually pretty cool. It's a really like interesting and difficult to utilize kind of invulnerability. So I'm kind of a fan of that actually. God, I love the new like excessive particle effect setting. I don't know if you can tell I have it on, but I can tell I have it on. Harrow is really nice. I think he's a pretty well-designed Warframe. Honestly, like when he came out, there were a lot of unfavorable comparisons to Trinity in the sense of, he should be better because, you know, Trinity just so outclasses him in like healing and energy, giving you energy. Frankly, I think that's more of a problem with Trinity than a problem with Harrow, though. Harrow is like pretty well balanced, except for certain things like, you know, he's actually pretty useful in the end for Eidolon fights, right? But he also is kind of a weird duckling there on the Eidolon fights because he's supposed to kill enemies. They created this new fight scenario fairly recently after creating a guy who is all about like the, you know, killing enemies is like a big deal for him, right? He needs to kill enemies to do stuff, shoot enemies to get healing, and oh look, you know, like half the time the boss is invulnerable and there's no enemies around for you to kill. And what the fuck are you supposed to do exactly? He's still useful for his ultimate, of course, but I don't know. I feel like really the problem there probably is that the Eidolon fights need some minions in them or something. And yeah, I'm kind of playing right now to make use of the boosters before they expire. Since it's nice to get some free boosters, not have to pay for them all the time. Not that I pay for them all the time, but man, it's a lot more fun when you do have boosters grinding Affinity, I gotta say. Especially Focus, although I haven't bothered with that too much. Like, I just got the one Waybound I really needed from like Vazarin to be sufficiently tanky for Eidolon shit, and then I was like, well, I also unlocked a bunch of stuff in Madurai, like Void Strike. It's like, alright, I could be better, but this is pretty much acceptable. And I haven't put too much effort into it since then. Nice. Hey, the PvP addicted, how's it going? Yeah, the crit cap is a little disappointing, but on the upside, the cap is quite high. Like, oh shit, that's 800 armor. Okay, I haven't been seeing numbers quite that good until now. That's more like it. Feels good. A little more significant there. But, you know, like the crit cap is like, it's still nuts. Like 200% crit on headshots, right? Like if you think about it for a second here, right? Most weapons have at least a 2.0 crit multiplier. You can build them to be more than that, right? If you know you're playing with Harrow, but at least there's very few weapons that have under it, right? We're talking about Harrow's crit cap and weapon crits, right? and how Harrow plays. And the thing is, like a 2.0 or 200% crit cap for his headshot crit cap, right? I mean, like the 50% one is a little bit less lackluster, but the headshot one, it's 4 times damage, right? It's like it's twice as good as Molecular Prime when you're landing headshots. And a little bit more difficult to pull off, obviously, but it's a buff on you, not a buff on enemies. So you don't need to worry about hitting new enemies with it. There are like upsides to that, being on enemies, not being or being on you and not being on enemies itself, like, per se. Jesus, 1400 armor. Maybe it won't. Maybe my video focusing on Atlas won't be about just the punching. No, they don't work on them at all. I thought it was just more of a factor of, well, Vomvelists fuck you over because there's so few of them. Yeah, okay, well, there you go. Like that's kind of an issue I have with the Eidolon fights. They made them immune to Warframe powers, and I understand why, because there's so many Warframe powers in the game that would break the fight. It just wouldn't be balanced at all. But I don't know, I feel like there should be some minions in the fight that are like kind of relevant to kill that are not immune to Warframe powers, so there's like a reason to bring along these Warframes and that they have enough cannon fodder to use your abilities on, you know? Like I think you should have like a bunch of dudes fucking running around for Harrow to shoot to heal you and stuff like that, or to get energy. But you know, there's the whole rest of the game for him to be awesome in. There is that. You can actually you can headshot them on their final phase, but not any of the rest of the time. So you can actually one-shot that part of it. Oh fuck, that was annoying. You can one-shot them really easily with the Lanka and Harrow because you can get the 200% crit cap by taking damage from the Eidolon's abilities on purpose, and you shoot it in the head. Yeah, like During the point of the fight after you've broken all of the Cenovas and their whole body becomes shootable, you can shoot them in the head for headshot damage, but not at any other point in the fight. Also, when you're shooting them as in your Tenno form, you can't get headshot damage then. I mean, unless you're in that part of the fight. When you're taking on their shields, you can't headshot damage them. Nell, strong for Eidolon fights. The headshotting part? What is that? It's got something about headshotting, I assume. I don't really remember what that weapon does that's special about it, though, off the top of my head. Well, I actually got all the freaking reactant this time, and I'm not having any trouble killing everything. In fact, I have the highest damage despite not having all the mods on. Nice. Okay, yeah, we're definitely going for the Forma. Oof. Thoughts on Limbo Prime? I'm disappointed it's not a different frame. He looks cool. He looks cool, and maybe we'll get another Limbo tweak or something to make Limbo a little bit more, you know, friendly to your teammates. The Spectre Soldier, after you break all of the weak points, right, then it gets back up again and you can shoot anywhere on its body, and at that point in the fight you can headshot it. Not at any other point in the fight, right? So after all the Cynovas are destroyed, like all the weak points are destroyed, it falls down and it summons in the Vomvelist and then gets back up, and then you can headshot it. You disappointed it was leaked? I don't really mind it being leaked. I mean, shrug. Gonna happen. You know, although I will say, like, DE's like, oh, you gotta. They're all upset about data miners. They could just not load just not load everything ahead of time. I mean, I know. Of course, you know, you wanna preload some stuff so people have smaller patches, but other game companies do not necessarily have this big of a problem with leaks, and it's because they just don't fucking do this, right? Not everybody does it because you don't have to. You know, if they think it's more important to get those easier patch or more gradual patches than to prevent leaks, fine. You know, that's cool. But I feel like it's kind of this situation where they're sticking their hand in hot water and then complaining they get burned. Lanka Harrow for Eidolon fight hunts? Yeah, it's super good. I usually play Trinity now. First I did Chroma, and then I did Rhino for a while. Rhino's super reliable, but I found like the most frustrating thing is if you get in a squad with someone who's playing Trinity and they don't have a fucking clue what to do, it's really hard to carry it because usually in the Hydralist, sometimes your fucking lures will just get killed and you're like, well, shit, Trinity didn't press 4, and the Trinity's like, well, I didn't have any energy because I didn't bring energy pizza, don't have any way of keeping my energy up, and it's like, god damn it. I'd rather it just be me that's Trinity, and I know that I have like 200 energy pizza and it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to spam the shit out of the ability, have it on 24/7. How do I feel about the Trinity changes? I think it's disappointing, but it makes sense. I wish they had gone with a milder nerf that would have made it not like so cheesy, but still exist as a mechanic, right? Like, I think what really made the Trinity Link build overpowered was that it had damage overflow, right? So, if you watched my videos on it, I mentioned at some point that it appears to be that more enemies are getting killed than the enemies you link. And I tested it a lot more after that, and it's absolutely the case. It'll even kill enemies on the other side of the map from the enemies you actually have linked. And that's because what's happening is in one game update, right? Oh shit, I shouldn't have walked into that. Okay. In one game update, you know, games updated a certain number of ticks per second, right? And over one tick, it's dealing damage to enemies, and then it's changing the link targets to new enemies as soon as they die, and then dealing damage to those enemies, and it keeps going until, I don't know if it has to run out of instances of damage or if it has to run out of damage total, like there's no damage overflow, but the end result is that you can link 3 enemies, and then even without the electric proc spreading damage, you can kill like 12 or more dudes. And then the electric procs also spread and kill dudes with the Castanas in particular. So basically what I'm saying is if they set it up in some way so that you could only kill 3 guys, and then you'd have to, before you could kill any more dudes with it, it would have to go through a game update, which would mean like, you know, 1/60th of a second. It would have been way more balanced. And it doesn't sound like much, but it basically would have gone from Trinity clearing entire maps to Trinity killing a couple of guys, like 3 to 6 guys in a second, right? And I mean, like, before she could clear maps, like, instantly, pretty much. It would massively slow down the build and make it probably like a 5th or a 4th or a 8th as effective. But it still would have been in the game, and I think it would have been fine at that point. But you know, it's fine either way. I think it's not that big of a deal that they nerfed it, in my opinion. They're pretty reliably going after all like the different gameplay like that, and the part I don't like about it is that it pushes Trinity more into this kind of, honestly, a little bit shitty support role, like that, if anything, a lot of games are moving away from for support characters, where it's like, you're just the support. You know, I kind of like the offensive capability there, but other than that, I don't think it's a big deal. Let's see. Yeah, I was using Link Trinity to grind Focus and Sanctuary Onslaught a lot. I want to say I was doing that on a stream somewhere, or I have some footage of it somewhere in my videos or something. But it was pretty bonkers. You could be super effective. The most like busted iteration of Saren, before they nerfed her to make her less good at Sanctuary Onslaught, was way weaker than Link Trinity. Way weaker in terms of like the amount of enemies you could kill. And I know because I got in a squad with someone else doing the Link Trinity build. I could not keep up. Ugh. But let's see, I think I missed some messages here. On headshots with a ton of CC and fire, it doesn't use ammo. Yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. Chroma. Poor Chroma. I want his fucking full rework. They said it's coming. It's been coming for a long time. I hope it's good. Basically, it's kind of how I feel about Chroma. I don't think he's bad or anything now. It's just that, of course, you know, he doesn't have the part of him that I think, you know, most people, myself included, really enjoyed Chroma for, which was more, you know, being a really good solo play badass, insanely tanky, insanely high damage, really capable of boosting low damage weapons to insane degrees, so you can use high utility weapons over weapons that actually have good damage stats. So, yeah. And yeah, I think like with removal of stuff like this, I wish they would do something about self-damage weapons in general, honestly, because It's not the best game concept. Hasn't worked super well in Warframe overall, I would say. Like, the only time I've found a self-damage weapon recently become useful is the Ogress. And the only reason I use that is because, A, it has a good Riven disposition, and no one fucking likes it, so Rivens for it were cheap. And B, you can play Zephyr with it on the Plains of Eidolon and just fucking rain missiles down on people, and it's actually reasonably good. But also, it's even then, even with a Riven, it's not a very good weapon, so it's only reasonably good in the sense that the enemies in the Plains of Eidolon are weak, relatively speaking. Even the tougher bounties aren't that nasty. So you can just, it's a good thing to have with Zephyr and just explode everything in an area, and you're so far in the air, there's no chance you hurt yourself. Drain energy instead. It could just not exist, honestly, and they could rebalance the explosive weapons a bit around fire rate or something else. Like poor fire rate, poor magazine size. Those are good ways to balance explosive weapons. I'm not sure, honestly. A lot of weapons, like I'm just talking about the Ogress, right? If you remove the self damage on that, it wouldn't become particularly overpowered. I don't think it would be even like in the top. Maybe it would be in the top 50% of all weapons, barely. But I don't know. I'm not sold on it as a mechanic, honestly. But yeah, Limbo, gosh, I think Limbo needs another rework. It's not that I dislike his... Is this guy really going to take the Helios Prime Carapace over this? Man, I feel bad. Like he's probably a new player or something. He's not that new. He should know better. Maybe he does. Maybe he just really wants it. You know what? That's fine. How did I even get... Oh, it's because I had... Yeah, okay, I had that equipped before. Okay, cool. What was I talking about? Limbo, right? Yeah, that's right. So Limbo... I don't know, my idea back when before he was reworked was to give him the ability to... Like, basically do all the same things he could do before, but give him more ways to shoot out of the void. I wanted him to have like void shields or rift shields, kind of like volt shields that don't block things, but instead phase things in and out of the rift. So you know, you just like you could put one inside of a cataclysm and use it to shoot out. I don't know if that's really that much better than what they actually did with him, but the whole like bullet stopping thing is just like he already had this playstyle of aggravating your allies and getting in the way of your allies killing enemies the same way Frost does, which I also really dislike, because a bad Frost player can really kind of like ruin your match. And I don't know, he already had that kind of gameplay and they made it worse when they updated him instead of improving it. And that was just not the direction he needed to go. It was very cool. It's a very cool effect. Don't get me wrong. It's just it doesn't fit with how Warframe's played very well. And the fact that you can do it to your allies is a big no-no, I would say. Maybe if he could only freeze his own bullets, but it gave some huge benefit to doing it, like 10 times damage when you unfreeze them or something. That'd be kind of cool. Create a wave of bullets, unfreeze it, kills a bunch of enemies. Yeah, and you just can't. Don't let him have the ability to do that to his allies. If you could mark enemies, like hold it and just drag it over a group of enemies, I think that would be kind of an improvement too. I honestly don't think Limbo's 1 is super great. Like even with, I want to say, did it always have an AOE to it? I think that was part of the rework. Now it's like an AOE thing. It's not one enemy at a time. That kind of improved it a bit, but he's just got really wonky gameplay. The way, was it Rift Surge or the one that's like, gets in that situation where enemies leave the void, it puts enemies into the void. You basically, like, if you actually use all his abilities, you just create this horrible mess of things that are in and out of the void, and it totally disrupts gameplay, but not in a sense of protecting you from shit, really, and more in the sense of stopping your squad from playing the game. It's not the greatest. If his freeze only stopped enemies. Well, of course, the reason DE didn't do that to begin with, right, is because they feel that it would be super overpowered, which is, you know, maybe a fair point, right? Like, think about it. If his freeze only stopped enemies, Cataclysm would just be such an insane CC ability, like absolutely bonkers. I guess it's not super different from like Rhino's Stomp, but it's a CC ability that completely disables enemies while like Rhino's Stomp, protects you from all enemies that aren't disabled, and then also will disable any new enemies that enter the radius, right, without a recast. And it becomes a little bit broken from DE's perspective. I'm not sure it's still that good because CC in Warframe is bad, but yeah, it would be pretty decent compared to what he has now, and it's like broken without being overpowered. If you get what I mean, like what you really want is something like Speed Nova, where you know it helps the enemies get to you faster and helps the enemies die faster, or just Equinox is kind of a better option than CCing enemies like that. Just kill everything, right? However, in the sense that it would basically make it impossible for enemies to even tickle you in the slightest, in that sense, it is pretty overpowered, So it's not overpowered in a super useful way, but it just kind of like makes you immune to gameplay in Warframe, which is not really a great thing. Even if most of us who have like a ton of gear and stuff are borderline immune to gameplay anyway, like the enemies can't touch us. It's not a good design goal exactly. And you certainly don't want it to be possible with like minimal investment, where someone just picks up Limbo and boom, they're immune to enemies. And no one gives a shit about the enemies anymore because you can't be hurt in any way, shape, or form. And you can't even be screwed over by your own ability to become invincible. Ironically, I think if Limbo's freeze instead sped up time, it would probably be better. Cataclysm? Yeah, Cataclysm is kinda, I don't know. Like, I could see myself liking it in a somewhat different. Oh man, this guy's now invulnerable. Great. Okay, let's get some different people. Somewhat different context. Like, the big problem with Cataclysm is that it creates this. Is what it actually does, right? It creates this zone of you can't do anything to enemies outside the zone if you're inside the zone, unless except for Warframe abilities, which do go through it. Void abilities do. Like, you know what? I need to. There we go. And that's just a huge problem, basically. It's like a frost bubble that you can't shoot out of, That's not a great concept, honestly. Yeah, at a basic level. That's kind of why I wish there was like some other interplay with Cataclysm that would allow you to shoot out of it. Even then, though, if you had actually required another ability, like I'd like to see it change to, there would be another problem with that, which is that, of course, if the Limbo player is rubbish or trolling, they could just drop Cataclysm on you, not use the other ability it's meant to be used with, and then, yeah, you're just annoyed. Ugh. Not to mention, of course, Banish is almost equally problematic. Like, if you aren't running a Warframe within a Warframe ability that can easily kill enemies, and Limbo just banishes one guy into the Rift. And it's just like, alright, there we go. He's in the Rift. I'm gonna ignore him now. You can't finish this defense mission. Suck it. Although there's probably a whole nother issue with that where, like, defense missions should not require you to kill all the enemies. If you kill 95% of the enemies in a wave rounded up, down? I'm gonna say down, so like there's at least a minimum of like one enemy can always be alive and you complete the round. And it should just go to the next round. If there's like one guy in a corner, just move to the next fucking round. Easy change, probably should have been made years ago. It fixes so many problems. Fixes problems with Warframe abilities, like even not just Limbo, Nyx. I mean, Limbo, a really dedicated trolling Limbo could still work hard at it, but fixes Nyx. It fixes enemies being stuck in a corner. It's just, it removes hassle from the game, and then that's all it does is remove hassle from the game. So it's a good thing in my opinion, purely. But maybe that's just me. I'm not a professional game developer. What do I know? Oh man, I really need to do some more void fissures to just to make plat, but I don't know if I really got the energy for that honestly anymore. I don't know. I don't really like void fissures. They're actually probably better than the old you know, survival and whatnot missions, the tower whatever missions. But I always felt for no particular reason I always had way more energy for those. I don't know if I just liked different stuff back then or what, but these always feel like such a chore by comparison. Those I was just like, it felt more like a challenge. Maybe I just didn't have as good stuff, and I was like trying to survive as like a Valkyr with like 3 mods equipped for an hour, which was challenging, you know. But I don't know. Oop. Oh, yeah. You know, call me crazy or biased, but I feel like some Warframes have had their animations, like, nailed really well compared to others. Like, look how just, like, weighty these, like, Atlas punches feel. Just boom, 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 boom. Very good. Has, like, a real, like, high power level feel to it. Feels a little rubbish when you're hitting the fucking Nox and he's just immune to everything. When you hit one of these guys and then they ragdoll all over the place, feels really good. It has like that Marvel movie animation feel, right? Where like hits have weight between them. Or behind them. And I feel like Nidus is the same way. A lot of Warframes are, but they don't all really like hit that stuff. Same tile sets over and over, more variety. Yeah, they do need more variety, and I kind of wish that we had higher starting points. Like I want a higher tier of void fissures that's like, I don't know if we can really justify like a higher tier of loot, because DE doesn't wants one. Oh fuck me, DE wants, you know, real life time constraints at how fast you can get loot to reduce what is it? Not inflation, I guess, deflation. Like keep the value of like prime parts up. Basically, is Loki rotated out? I think he is, isn't he? Should probably get it. Yeah, I should probably get another one of these. But so they want like real time. They wants to. All right, we'll extract. They want real time behind it, and that means that like there's never gonna be like a void fissure mode where there's never gonna be a void fissure mode where like you get 2 relics cracked at once per round, right, or anything like that. And I think it's kind of disappointing to me. It's like the reality of running a free to play game with like an in-game economy, and you have like that's like a, you know, without that the game doesn't keep running, which is, you know, not a good thing. As far as I'm concerned. So I understand it, I get it, but yeah, I wish we had like some sort of higher tier of difficulty that included more tile sets as well. Like I want to go to the Kuva Fortress and face level 80 enemies like right at the beginning, and I also wish they did a little bit of more variety between builds. Like I don't know why we can't have higher enemy density on PC than console. I mean, it'd be kind of sad for console players to be seeing like this dope enemy density on PC that you can't have on console, but especially as, you know, like years crawl by and people end up having better PCs and the requirements go up, it would be really nice to have some sort of like semi-dynamic system that spawned a few more enemies to people who could handle it. Just because I guess that's also a loot thing, right? You know, to keep the loot in check. But I want more enemies to explode. You know, I want more stuff to slaughter. But let's see, what should I put in this? What I actually put in this other slot here? I had to figure out what I actually need to form of this guy with. I already got Rage. I guess since I want to have Hunter's Adrenaline on here, probably I need another Y polarity no matter what. Yeah, if they just let us straight duck at relics, I wouldn't mind. Like I don't have the time or energy to play the number of fissures required to fucking deal with all these relics I've got. And honestly, I pretty much turn all of my faction standing into more relics because I know that they're eventually going to be relics for vaulted items, you know. And so I'm like, all right, I'll just, you know, get more of these relics now. It'll pay off later. And now I've just got like a fuckload of relics. I have like vaulted relics. I have relics from like the dawn of the relic system still just sitting around. I'll give me like transient fortitude, huh? Or blind rage because I don't care about efficiency that much. Yeah. Let's polarize another Y polarity. Yeah. That's pretty good. And I think I can equip Vitality now. Yeah, there we go. All right, and I think I can do Prime Flow too. Yeah. Can I? I don't think I can. Actually, I should be able to do Hunter's Adrenaline too. There we go. Very good. Very nice. Okay. Acor Sidon. Do I have anything else in here? I don't know how I missed that the first time. Don't know. Yeah, I know. It is a nice thing about how they designed fissures, that they don't like screw you out of some of the normal mission rewards, but yeah, it adds up, and then you're like, what do I do to get rid of these? You know what actually would be cool? It would be maybe they can't give you more rewards, but maybe you could, I don't know, some sort of fissure burning system where you burn fissures to get some other kind of reward. I don't know what reward would actually be worth it. I don't know. Maybe I want a way to get completed forma. How about that? I want 6 forma on like every item I own in the game, so that would be nice. I guess I should just pick up a melee weapon for its effectiveness. Oh yeah. So, you know, I couldn't find a note on this. I want to say that Rivens do work with Atlas's punch. I don't remember off the top of my head. But I have this nice Tonbo Riven. It's not the highest Riven efficiency. I kind of want to get something with it's a little bit more of a weapon that I'm a fan of. Get a Riven for. So I'm like the Guandao. This thing's way cooler. A friend of mine has a Riven for the Guandao. It's very, very fun. Still has a good Riven disposition. No Dom 5. You know, maybe I'll switch over and just do a quick game versus the AI in Dominions 5, and after a while, I haven't made any content for that in a while. I've been feeling like I should do more of it. But yeah, you know, like the group of people that I used to play, I still got the Corinth, yeah, that I used to play Dominions with all the time have fucking quit on me, basically. Like, we had a game started, and one guy never actually started playing it, so... and it just died. No one else wanted to reform it. Makes me very sad. Volnus? What's Volnus? I don't know what that is. Is it a name of a person or an item in Warframe that I'm just not familiar with? Let's see. Oh, that mission's gone. Orokin Interception, huh? Well, that looks fun. Neo Relics. I have a few of these. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have way more than I do, too. Way more. Way more. I feel like I spend way more time actually just testing and playing Sanctuary Onslaught and occasionally Eidolon hunting than anything else, really. I don't even do that much stuff that can get me relics. Oh wait, well... okay, I can get the Radiant Relics from Sanctuary Onslaught. There's that. You know, Atlas Prime is gonna look fucking dope when he becomes a thing, finally. Fullness. The axe that came with Gara. Shit, I'm behind. I don't have that thing. I should get it, though. I actually need to go on I need to go on a selling spree first so I have some plat, and then go on a huge weapon building spree. I got all the frames now, but I'm pretty behind on some weapons. You've yet to play your first multiplayer game in Dominions 5? Ah. It's a lot of fun. Be prepared to lose a lot. I mean, even if you're super good or better than everyone else you're playing with, just by the numbers, I mean, most games are five-man free-for-alls. It's hard to win games at all, really. Takes more than just playing well. Since people have a tendency to gang up on you if they perceive that you might be winning. What I really should do is do some multiplayer games with some of the 4chan groups of guys who do like blitz games, right? Those are like endurance sessions though. Last time I did one, it took like 8 hours. But you know, it'd be a good thing to stream. C's not captured. This reminds me why I kind of hate interception as a mission concept. You know, what is it? That one mission, I know no one actually likes grinding it, but what's that mission type like that's like never played for any reason ever that you need to grind for, I think, Nidus parts? It's basically like interception, but you only have 3 points to guard and they're far closer together, but you can also have all your armor stripped off. I would say that's like, that whole concept is way better than interception, and they should come up with a non-infested version of it than delete interception from the game and replace it with that. Because like interception points are so far salvage, yeah. Interception points are too far apart. Like they're too far apart. The ideal way to play interception is boring, inactive, and just fucking stupid and not fun. Right? Like what you should be doing is have one person sit at every interception point and guard it, and you know, only one of those people is going to get to have any fun because there won't be enough enemies to go around in these like big tile sets that they put interception on, and none of you are going to be in infinity range because fuck you, you don't need affinity. You know, they patched out the ability to fucking get affinity from these missions a long time ago. Honestly, I think like the whole like I have so many problems with it. I have so many problems with it because like interception was already bad, and then DE made it way worse and was essentially like, well, you know, we didn't want people grinding interception missions. Go fuck yourself, you know. Like, oh, you can totally get fucking affinity from this. Like, look, where's the affinity range thing, right? Do you see anyone? Hold on a second. I bet it's not. It's just not. There you go. There's the affinity range counter coming up in the corner as soon as I left my spot that I needed to be guarding. Oh my god. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway. In some ways, it's one of the better mission types to do for rewards because I think, like, you know, if you actually just go cap everything out as fast as possible, the mandatory time you're trapped in rounds is like 3 minutes. It's much faster than, like, say, you know, survival. Survival is kind of like the mission everyone would like to play, but no one does it because 5-minute rounds are fucking retardedly long, basically. I could probably just keep ranting on this for a long time. Maybe I will, actually. I was going to say, like, oh, I won't. I'll change topics, but, I mean, why bother? Why bother? It's a good thing to rant about, right? It's actually, I think, a relatively serious problem with the game. What do you say about defect missions? What I say about defect missions is I still haven't played them and don't really intend to. Maybe I'll go play one after this. I'll tell you what I think. They came out. I heard they were horrible. The concept seemed horrible, and I didn't touch them. Right? Like there's also, as far as I'm aware, no reason to do them. Is there? Is there a reason I should do them? I don't think so. So there's perhaps another problem with defect missions. There's no reason to do them. Same thing with salvage. Like, you know why I played salvage missions? It wasn't even to grind Nidus because I was very hyped for him and bought him immediately. I have only played salvage missions because a friend of mine needed to grind for him and he wanted help, and so I helped him do the missions, and it's the only reason I have any idea what salvage missions even exist. Someone's extracting, alright. Harrow parts. Okay, yeah, I bought him too. I've actually bought most of the recent Warframes. What was the last one I actually did the mission for? Titania. I was like, I'm gonna do this fucking mission. It was a pain in the ass. I did the mission for Gara too. Yeah. But I was very actually I bought Korra as well, but that was a little bit more disappointing. Now, perhaps a good like life choice, considering how bad I've heard it is to grind for her. And the stats on that back up the complaints. Let's see, where's a defection mission here? I have no idea where one would be. But yeah, you might, if defection is as horrible as I've heard, maybe get to hear some more. But like, you know, it's just one of those things. Like, I guess it bugs me more that Salvage really seems to be like a copy pasta of Interception with tweaks to make it superior to Interception. And it's like, so why are we fucking playing Interception all the time? And Salvage is this mission type I didn't even realize was in the game since I bought Nidus, until someone else forced me to play it. And I'm just like, this is actually, you know, like, did I go over one and just miss it? I'm retarded. Maybe it's in, oh fuck. Maybe it's one of like regular mission assassination, right? No, that's, no. What did I just click? Third. Oh, it's Dark Sector. All right, I haven't done Dark Sector missions much in a while, actually. All right, is it one of the missions I've unlocked yet? Is it Caracol? Maybe not. Jupiter? Defection. It's something about exactly what the name implies, isn't it? The defector from the Corpus or the Grineer, right? Wow, there aren't a lot of them, that's for sure. They haven't turned up already. Hey, Crossfire Spy. I haven't done that before. What's the alternative? Regular Crossfire Grineer Corpus. Crossfire, I think I've done Crossfires before, but I haven't seen a Crossfire Spy. That's just where there's both factions and you just fuck them up. Oh wait, what am I clicking on the Cuban Fortress for? It's definitely not there. Alright. They really had to hide it, huh? Giant planets past Saturn, like Uranus? I'm not really sure what's anymore. I'm not really sure what's past Saturn since I did the star chart before they updated it, and this is like the new age gobbledygook that all the kids know about and I don't know. Neptune, surely. Is there maybe excavation? Sedna. Okay, way up here. Alright, there's the arena. Hijack. Well, that's the survival. I know I've seen them around too, like are you guys sure defection missions are in the game? It's gotta be. Fuck. Huh. What the fuck? No, not Phobos, right? Because that's I think it's infested. Oh no, that's Corpus. Rush, archering mission. Mobile defense. Alright, that's it. I'm googling this. Warframe defection mission. I gotta, surely they exist somewhere. Phobos, Saturn. There is one in Saturn, huh? Oh, they're all infestation missions. Ah, Caracol, the one place I didn't unlock in Saturn. Phobos is Memphis, and Neptune is Ursa. So did I just miss it on Neptune? Because I thought I had this whole place unlocked. You said Ursa? Fuck yeah, I just totally misread it. Whoops. Oh, there we go. It explains why it's so hard to find. I'm blind. That's okay. Yeah, makes sense. Alright, let's find out what the fuck I do for these missions. I gotta escort small squads. It's an escort mission Is that really what this game needed? Because like I haven't, this is my first time trying it. You know, I'm just saying though, rescue missions are fucking horrible, and the only thing that makes them tolerable is that we can force the guy to fucking teleport to the end. So I'm not too sure about this shit already. COD squads rescued, killed. Am I killing the survivors rather than join Steel Meridian? They've chosen a different path. Forced to commit more atrocities. Oh, Steel Meridian's committing atrocities. I could have sworn they were like, if not good, slightly better. RIP. Nobody's the nice guys in the Warframe universe. And if there was someone who was the nice guy, it would definitely not be the Tenno, although I guess we're doing something good for once. Usually it seems like we're just like slaughtering some guys where they work. You know, we're just like, look at some Corpus crewmen, you know, just doing their jobs. Stab, stab. Maybe the Tonbo isn't all bad. Its head, when I look too closely at it, I feel like it's a little too fat. It seems really awkward. Getting a lot of notifications on my phone. Is this anything important? Oh, excuse me for a minute. My mom is texting me. She's an awesome lady. Don't worry about it. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you know, it's very nice of these guys to just, you know, I kind of forgot I'm on public, so I can't pause anyway, and I just completely waited around in the middle of the infested. And, but they were very polite, you know, they waited for me to finish my, messing with my phone. Yeah, there we go. Kind of love that. Alright. Shit. Does it show that I've been using the ciphers instead of actually hacking anything for like the last 6 months of Warframe playing? Ugh. You know, I feel like shit. Maybe not all Warframe communities, but certain places, Reddit, kind of overblow the rush survivors. What the fuck is this? It doesn't look like a survivor to me, Lotus. Send a signal you want the survivors to hurry. I would like them to hurry. Where the fuck? What was I trying to say here? Something about... Crap, now I completely lost. I completely lost it. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, the melee changes. Right. That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna make a point about how, you know what? If you go on like fucking Reddit, people make it seem like, you know, melee never works, and this whole like not letting melee hit through walls thing was a horrifying mistake that broke the game. Honestly, if I go out in missions though, it's like once in a blue moon something weird happens. It's probably because of that change that wouldn't have been an issue before. And you know what? That's I don't think it's that big a deal. Alright, so I'm waiting for this to charge up, right? Or am I charging it up? Do I need to get the canisters? Interesting. Okay. Fuck. 95%. Fuck is... Oh, nanospores. Cool. There was once a point in my life where I actually had to farm for nanospores. True story. And it's not because I didn't have any either, like, before. I had, like over 1 million. I actually used them all. Generally overreact. Yeah. I like Reddit for a variety of purposes, mostly relating to information gathering. However, like, the format is very prone to, just, like, weird groupthink and that sort of thing. Let the survivors know you're ready to keep moving. Oh, shit, I actually have to do something? Move out. Oh, Jesus. Fuck. Is there any reason to stay there? Oh, okay, so it heals them up. Nice, alright. This would be a fun mission type to include Radprox in. You know, like defection sortie, add Radprox, right? That would be... Yeah, so I think I'm getting the impression my initial impression of this mission was correct, which is that it shouldn't exist in Warframe at all. Pretty much. Like, fucking... I don't know, escort missions, it's not a good mission type. I had my fill of it in World of Warcraft before people realized that if you want to have an escort mission, the thing you're escorting should be invincible. And it should just be a joke, and really the goal is for them to kill you, not your escort. That's the only good way to do it. Is this gonna keep going? What's going on here? The event was rather fun. There's an event around this? Man, maybe I wasn't playing Warframe at the time. Tankier, which reduces the challenge. I'm sure it would have been challenging, but like, I don't know, man. Unless this gives like 5 times the reward of a capture mission, I feel like one of the two things shouldn't exist in the game: capture missions or this. They're like, oh, there's another group of survivors coming. I see. It's an endless mission type. Oh, that is kind of interesting, actually. And so killed out of 10, I assume, is the number of survivors that have died. When you hit 10, you lose? Probably? That's actually a little bit neat, I gotta say. Still not sold on this type of mission existing, though. Like, just escort missions in general. Like, you know, even with rescue, I almost feel like how it ought to work is that you rescue the guy and like that's it, you're outsies. Like just some like crazy, use some crazy shenanigans, like you just like they'll and 10 die. It makes sense. You put him on an archwing and just send him on out of there. Get gone, buddy. Okay, let's move out, boys. Oh, that's kind of neat. More groups of people. Yeah, that could get kind of challenging. I imagine that, like, shit. Really large area AoE frames would be very useful with this. Why is this one asshole just, like, really slow compared to his 2 buddies? Alright, looks like they're good to go. This guy's probably gonna die, though. Boop, boop, boop. Like, drop some, oh gosh. Nyx, Loki, Nova. Supposed to be really funsies for this. Alright, I think that's enough of that. Did here today, Tedo. Here there's no more you can save. Shit. You know, at least it's like one lore instance of the Tenno not being like just murder machine dicks. Oh yeah, just banish them, right? Alright, why is it... Okay, so that's that thing. Where's my indicator for extraction? Yep. Just banish the whole squad. With enough duration, they should make it all the way to the exit completely uninjured, right? Yeah. Huh. Can you volt boost, speed boost them? I want like a whole loadout, or just one at a time. Well, for leveling stuff, it depends on what's more important to you: getting the whole loadout leveled or getting a specific thing leveled, right? If you have only one, I mean, you have to equip at least one weapon because the game forces you to. for understandable reasons. Companions get separate XP, so you don't have to worry about them. And XP is split between 50% of it going to your Warframe and 50% being divided between your weapons, right? So if you want to level a specific weapon, the ideal thing to do is to only equip that weapon and no other weapons, and your Warframe, right? And that's it. Because you can't avoid equipping a Warframe, obviously. And if you have multiple things to level and you don't care about like leveling one of them particularly fast, then you just have a whole setup and a whole loadout, and you go with the whole loadout, and yeah. And just let it level up. Especially if you have a booster, like right now, it can be pretty good to have a loadout, because like, it's not going to be as good when I go back here now, but I was doing the Hydron Void Fissure when that was briefly a thing, and I got my whole loadout leveled up in one good run once people actually stayed in for a minute. And that's because, of course, Void Fissures have higher enemy density than normal missions, and Hydron's already really good for getting XP. So in that case, it would have been more like I would have needed to extract earlier to keep formatting my stuff and getting optimal XP, whereas I could just stay a little longer and play for a little bit more of, all right, whatever, I'm watching this, I guess, play for a little bit more of the same mission and get everything leveled up. Well, if you are leveling up weapons and you're playing solo, right? If you're not playing solo, the best way is to let all your squad mates kill everything for you. But if you're playing solo, right, you need to actually be killing things with the weapon you want to level up, right? So I'm playing by myself, say, in some mission. And I want to level up my Corinth, like I've got right here, right? Well, when I kill things with Atlas's Punch, right, the Corinth is not getting any experience at all. 100% no XP is going to it. So if you want to level up just the Corinth and you're by yourself, you need to kill things with the Corinth. So, I need more energy, huh? All right. I haven't had to use energy pizza in a bit. So, you bring a frame like Banshee or Nova or something to boost your damage a little bit, and you kill things yourself. If you're playing with people, like when he kills something, the XP is split between my frame and all my weapons. And so let's say I have my frame at level 0 and all my weapons at level 0. And I want to get all of them leveled up. It's not more efficient to only equip one of them at a time, than it is to have them all equipped at once. It'll be the same amount of grinding regardless. Yeah, pretty much. Because there's no XP like lost or gained if you only have one weapon equipped or something. Yeah, typically, just to not be a dick, I would bring like one weapon, or better yet, either bring a good weapon if you're leveling a Warframe, or bring a good Warframe if you're leveling weapons, right? So, for example, you can say you don't want to get the kills, and you want to be useful, and you want to level up weapons, right? Or maybe actually, if you want to level up weapons, you can get the kills with the weapon, but maybe you can't easily because you're not high MR and you can't do enough damage. Well, you bring a frame like Banshee or a frame like Speed Nova, a setup like Speed Nova, where her explosion isn't going to do a lot of damage, and you do some useful buff that your squad is going to appreciate, and that's going to help you deal damage with your weapons, ideally. If you don't have that kind of option, you're kind of fucked, right? And you know what? Maybe especially if you're lower MR, people probably aren't going to bitch too much about you leeching. It's only when someone's like MR 21 and they could easily just put mods on their weapon and have them be useful right from level 0, and they're just sitting around doing nothing, where people are gonna get a little annoyed at you. Yeah, you have to kill things with the stuff you're actually leveling, or your allies have to kill stuff. So yeah, the buff frames are a good way to help yourself and your buddies. Like, my favorite is probably Speed Nova. I think it's a really good option. Enemies run at you faster. Make sure you're infinity range. Yes, you have to stay within infinity range. It's one of the reasons. Hydron and what's the infested one called? That's good too. Akkad are so good because it's really hard to be out of affinity range. Like I was bitching about earlier on the stream, which you may not have been here for, but interception missions basically guarantee that you will be outside of affinity range, thereby fucking you over for any sort of XP gains. And that is like by design. And they didn't used to do that. They used to have a special exception that would allow everyone to be in affinity range so you wouldn't get boned by the fact that you have to spread out in interception missions, but DE removed that because, you know, we can't have fun, I guess. Yeah, defense missions. Pretty good. Survival's not bad either if your squad's actually grouping up for it. Void fissures. There's certain things are generally like Hydron's gonna be the best, but occasionally a void fissure will create like a really good mission. Like Tower 4 Void Survival Void Fissure is absolutely batshit crazy for XP if your squad groups up actually. The spawn rate is super good. Enemies start out pretty high level. You get a ton of XP. Yeah. Congrats. The other thing I should mention is if you're leveling up a Warframe, of course, you can just bring an OP weapon, and if you kill stuff with that weapon, half the XP goes to the Warframe. You can't really fuck over your Warframe leveling by bringing stuff with you. Yeah, Trinity's like... shit. Trinity's game warping. I don't like it. I think... she's been like nerfed so much, and I'd say she's probably still actually overpowered. And DE's reworked her so many times, and it just isn't working out. Yeah, I don't know what the fix is. I feel like she needs to be more like Haro without actually becoming Haro, you know? Yeah, that's an okay way to describe it. It's just that, like, energy is really useful in Warframe. What you really want to do is spam your abilities constantly, and anything that lets you break that is super, super good. And that's why, like, some frames are a lot more comfy to play solo, like Saren or even Atlas, like I'm playing now, right? Like I mentioned a while ago about Atlas, he's got a self-heal mechanic. And since he has a self-heal mechanic that's baked into his frame, basically. Yes, yeah, she is kind of like that, or like she's like the classic like kind of support priest character with like a high skill floor. So like, no matter how bad you are, you're at least a certain level of effective. But I don't know. She just gives too much energy. She'll fill you up on energy pretty much instantly, right? By just pressing a button, and it's too good for the game. I think that's actually really the big problem. Her heal is also too good, right? Like when other frames have heal, like someone's mentioning this to me on like on Reddit in the discussion I was having. They're like, oh, well, Inaros is good at healing too. And I'm like, yeah, everyone forgets about that, though. You know, I'm not disagreeing with you per se. He can heal, but there's a good reason everyone forgets about it. It's because Trinity can just press a button, and everyone within an affinity range is at full HP instantly and has massive DR, right? Yeah, her one is just embarrassing. Like, and you know what? Like, there's even, I don't know why they haven't just reworked that yet. I actually don't get a lot about their rework cycle. Like, I feel like I'm in the middle of the road where like I like to criticize a lot of things. Like I've mentioned before somewhere that like I think I'm pretty convinced that the reason we don't have universal vacuum is straight up that someone at DE has a stick up their ass about it and refuses to back down, even though like probably everyone else and their fucking grandmother thinks it's a good idea, because it's purely a convenience quality of life issue, and there is no like rational. I've tried to come up with a rational game design argument for why they shouldn't put it in. Like just for devil's advocate, there's fucking nothing that even sounds vaguely plausible anyway. But the point is, like, I was gonna say is that baffles me. There's just stuff like that I think is just like totally asinine. But for the most part, you know, I think people also criticize them on a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense, because, you know, lots of people like to talk shit about stuff they don't understand on the internet, and your average gamer doesn't really know that much about the game design process, and you can't even really fault them for that much, because, I mean, why should you randomly learn about how game companies design games? Really, like it's kind of an obsessive nerd thing beyond just playing games for fun. Anyhow, point is that I think their rework cycle is really weird, and they take a really long time to change things, way more than most other game companies, and I don't get it, and it confuses me, honestly. I know this stuff takes work too, but still, even so, like, it's weirdly long. Let's see. But to catch up with the topic at hand, I was gonna say her one could easily be changed to something far more useful. It doesn't even have to stop being a heal. It just could be a heal in a different way than her other abilities. Like, put Well of Life on an enemy. Instead of doing this thing where an enemy has to stay alive, just infect them with like some sort of this almost sounds too Oberon-ish, but infect them with something, right? And they get like a seed of life placed in them, and then if they die, it doesn't fucking matter. It just stops moving with them. Before that, they can walk around, and it pulses out heals, and then make the heals something unusual, like make it give you a barrier of HP, or make it give you a damage over time heal, or make it buff your power strength instead of actually fucking healing you, like some sort of like vampire power strength life force bullshit. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of ways to keep it in a very similar vein. Maybe make some sort of mechanic where she can have like these little healing pillory things that buff allies who are near them, and she can kind of spam it a little bit more or something. But or they could drop health orbs. Actually, no, I was gonna say I don't really think that's much of an improvement, but that's not too terrible because there are mechanics that do stuff with health orbs, right? So that's not 100% bad. It would at least be, like something else she could do instead of her one being like straight up garbage and there's no reason to use it at all. Like if they dropped health orbs, like I just imagine them instead like showering health orbs like a fountain. Could be kind of useful. Yeah. And like I don't really know what to do with her energy ability. Like that's like the harder one to rework, honestly. Like her one is almost easy to rework just because it's so shit that if they do anything to change it, it'll probably be better, honestly. Like it's just it might as well not exist right now. And then her two, though, Energy Vampire is just so hard to deal with without like just deleting it or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe it should work like a. Nah, that probably wouldn't work too well. I don't know. I was gonna suggest like maybe it should be like Well of Life, but like if you shoot. I hope I actually got enough fucking things. I wasn't. Oh wait, no, I'm playing regular Hydron. That's right. I'm not doing a Void Fissure. Maybe if you like shot an enemy who had been had it cast on them, it gives you energy, right? You have to actually shoot them to get the energy. Like something to make you work a little bit more for it, right? And maybe it doesn't give you quite as much. Yeah, basically. And then like it's not just because power strength can make like her healing out of hand, right? Because the thing is that because of Trinity, because her energy recovery ability, like her ability to give energy is so high, you as anyone else can just take a max blind rage, not bother with efficiency at all, put on primed flow so you have enough to cast your abilities, and Trinity, uses her 2 once, you're at full energy. You cast your ult a couple times, you're at no energy. Trinity uses her 2, you're at full energy again. You just abuse it to have more power available. And then this is like in contrast to, even if you had a very efficient build, you can't actually like maintain or keep yourself topped up on energy without extensive other things, right? Like I can keep myself topped up as Atlas right now, right? But only because I have Rage equipped, and I have Zeneric equipped, and I'm getting like all this extra energy. I'm also very energy efficient. I'm only using his 1. It's not a high energy ability. It's got a mechanic that reduces the energy cost on it. And a lot of frames can't do that. And so you have the situation where like if you're playing, I don't know, the new Saren, right? And you want to nuke the map, and you don't have Trinity with you, you're gonna have kind of a problem, especially in lower level missions where sure you can use Rage, but enemies aren't gonna be hurting you. So good luck with that. And so, like, what do you do? You know, what if you're a frame that can't recover HP on their own, really, right? You gotta have like a melee weapon to recover HP, and then you gotta get shot. And it's like you gotta go pretty far out of your way to actually keep your energy up. Otherwise, you cast a couple of abilities and you're out of energy, right? Energy pools in this game, or the energy pool in this game is relatively small. The amount of energy you just get from killing enemies is relatively small, and the necessity of spamming your abilities is quite high to be effective in game content. And so people compensate. They use Zeneric. They use cheesy things where you combine like Life Strike and Rage. And they do stuff like use Energy Pizza all the time, right? Which is really available to you. But the end result is that in effect, unless you're a new player, energy economy in this game doesn't really exist. All your abilities are freely spammed, right? But if you're a new player, you're fucked, man. Like, your abilities are not freely spammed at all. Instead, if you're a noob, you've got the situation where you can't use any of your shit. But anyway, and Trinity just like amps it up to 11 and ensures that even if you fixed all those other issues, right, with like pizza being maybe a little bit too easy to get, and maybe fucking like whatchamacallit, Zeneric being a little bit overpowered, and you know, the Rage plus Life Strike being pretty abusable. If you fix all those things in some way to make them a little more balanced with the game's energy economy, of like Trinity, who can just instantly give people full energy. I don't know. And it's also, the other part of the problem with her too is it's not very interactive, right? It's not like fun and engaging gameplay for the person playing Trinity, for the most part. You know, some people can get behind it, but like Trinity herself, if you're just playing her like solo, is kind of fun, right? She's really tanky. She heals herself, has kind of like a self-healing paladin-y feel. You'll link up with enemies, you use your ultimate, now you're really tough. You drain one guy to get your energy back, and you blow everyone else away with weapons. It's kind of like a cool playstyle. But as an actual support, like, it's really just like mash your 2, press 4, mash your 2, press 4. And it's very stark contrast to like Harrow, who has like a fairly engaging gameplay style and is much harder to use. Even Oberon is a lot more balanced, but also less good, of course. Energy recovery, yeah, like a actual energy like vampirism buff. Yeah, that could be pretty good. Or like, do you think of it like Nova instead, right? Because make that I feel like that's a little bit too much like Harrow. Instead, have it be a wave, like a pulse wave, right? That pulses out like Nova's ult, and it infects enemies with some blue shit, and when you shoot them, you get energy back, right? And so it's kind of the same effect, but it's a little bit different in function. You aren't buffing people, you're afflicting enemies. And there's a little bit different balance-wise, slightly weaker, I would say, and also makes it a little bit of a different mechanic. You play around it a little bit differently. Would make her a little bit more differentiated from Harrow. Yeah. Maybe make the overshield component from the augment work differently as well. That's not really considered to be as important anymore, I feel like, since the old days of Warframe, but it'd be cool if that wasn't from getting over abundance of energy, but instead was just part of your allies killing enemies at all with that mechanic. Since it would be nerfed overall, it would kind of justify buffing the augment in that way to just work where like you get energy and you get overshields, and they're separate things that you get each time. I think that would be pretty cool. Actually, in rant-worthy topics, you know, it actually kind of pissed me off because I don't really, frankly, I just don't believe DE's statements on this. But they said they ditched the idea of shield gating and they felt it didn't actually like add any impact to tankiness. I feel like that's horseshit, and there's probably no way that's possible unless they didn't really try the kind of shield gating people were suggesting, right? Like where like every increment, like a certain increment of amount of shields, gives you a brief invulnerability phase, like even very short period, like 0.25 seconds, 250 milliseconds of invulnerability. If someone like Frost, who has a lot of shields, has like 4 periods of 250 millisecond invulnerability as their shields get ticked down, it's pretty good, honestly. Give it a cooldown with a buff like energy over time. That's actually a fair point, right? Just make it not recastable, and it's like a buff, and it like gives people energy regeneration. Just make it like unusually high compared to most other energy regeneration, maybe. That'd be pretty good, actually. And you could even combine that with one of the other ability ideas, right? Like PvP Addicted suggested, or like what I was suggesting, where you kill enemies and then you get this energy regeneration buff. Maybe it keeps it up, or maybe it stacks. Like make it something like I don't know. for remaining duration, and you get energy regen per second times enemies killed or something. Kill 10 enemies. Nah, that would actually that would scale too high. Maybe just like it's a buff that goes on you and then applies another buff that lasts like 5 seconds, and you can keep reapplying it. That gives you energy over time, as long as you keep killing enemies. Or it could even be keep hitting enemies. You don't even have to kill them, you know? Just like as long as you keep fighting, right? You keep gaining energy back. Alright, let's see. How's my leveling going? I gotta go again. Actually, wait. Oh, well. I always forget about, you can just repeat mission. I should have probably actually just gone into the mission at that point, but whatever. Yeah, and so you could buff your allies and then have an energy over time like that, or you could have it be like you debuff enemies and then you shoot them and then they get energy, and your allies get energy regen for shooting them. Yep, that I agree, 100%, pretty much. I mean, she needs the Saren treatment. Like, I complained about it to a certain degree because they made Saren a little bit hyperactive instead of just active. However, it's overall a good direction, even if I don't necessarily like 100% of the changes they make towards that, right? That the game should be more interactive and you should have to be more active to do well, right? Because I think that mostly leads to things being more fun, right? Okay, I just got Frost and useless not playing Trinity. Frost is pretty good for various reasons too. I will say, although he's really fallen off. There's actually, all right. So I got a good rant topic, which DE at least finally acknowledged themselves recently, right? So in the latest dev stream, they talked about this, which is that CC isn't very good in Warframe anymore because the meta has shifted away from CC actually being good, and it's pretty bad. Even like Nyx used to be a good character. Like, even ignoring the fact that like other people can do what she could do, she was still good anyway back in the day. When I first started playing Warframe, she was a pretty solid frame. Sure, maybe you should play Loki, but there were even advantages. Like, Chaos lasted longer than Loki's Radiating Disarm. Like, it wasn't Radiating Disarm wasn't straight up better. Well, that's not the case anymore. Definitely not the case anymore. And that's because in the past we had this motivation to do long missions, right? That just does not exist anymore. And what it was that, you know, if you do a 60-minute survival on one void key, you get more rewards. And it actually created this situation where like people who were better at the game, or at least more grinded, right? If you did like a competent team, if you got a competent team together and you set yourself up to say like win interception missions as fast as possible, or defense missions are the best, because if you could back in the day, you know, there were some strats you could do to do defense missions crazy fast compared to how everyone else was doing them. So, you know, there's some useful reward from that defense mission, and you go really late going really fast through the mission, right? And you do something cool like a Equinox Banshee combo, right, to just get through it really fast in the early waves. And the farther you go, the more rewards you got for one void key. And so there was an incentive to use crowd control, because crowd control is one of the best way of dealing with enemies that can one-shot you, right? And there was incentive to use frost to protect you in frost bubbles. And it's gone now because there is no content that challenging in the game anymore that you would actually do, right? Like, if you're going like an hour and a half, 2 hours on void defense, there's nothing that hard in the game that you just do normally now, right? Unless you intentionally do another endless mission like that. And endless missions like that are not as rewarding as they used to be because, you know, every round burns a void relic, right? There's no advantage anymore. And at the same time, because every round burns a void relic and anyone can just restart the mission over and over again to continue to get the same rewards as you for going late, it means that the rewards themselves are individually worth less. Well, yeah, that's what that is kind of what I'm saying, though, right? Because there was an incentive to push your way up to that content that was actually like required some crowd control and stuff, right? Now we don't have to go and fight like level 200, 300 enemies or whatever. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to go past level 80 enemies. And for even like level 150 enemies, we're probably a little too strong. For level 80 enemies, they're a joke. You know, like, geez, level 50 to 80, absolutely hilarious. And then we've got like Sortie 3 is about like the toughest thing you encounter, and you know, it's like, you just break out the big guns for once, play like a little tiny baby challenge, and then you get through that, and well, what else is there to do that's particularly hard? Not much, right? Spawn rate more dangerous. Yeah, absolutely. Like the Nox is actually a pretty good one they've done recently. The redesigned Scrambuses that aren't as bullshit but are still like a nullifying type ability, I really like those actually as well. Probably need an armor rework, and then maybe like some changes to how enemies that aren't armored work, because like right now armored enemies are pretty tough and non-armored enemies are kind of shit, but then you just get the mod that makes armored enemies shit too, and you're like, well, everything dies easily, right? And not that I think everything should be a huge meat sack, but enemies in Warframe are actually, despite what a lot of people say, rather squishy if you build well for high-level content. Didn't realize until the other day that no hurts. Was that a typo? That no? I don't know. Nox? I didn't realize the other day that Nox hurts. Yeah, he's not the most deadly enemy in terms of offensive power, although I've gotten killed by those little awkward like splooge things a couple times just because I didn't even realize I was being shot, and I was just like, what the fuck just killed me? In like higher level stuff in Sanctuary Onslaught. Whoops. But yeah, CC has gotten devalued, and like part of it is like, even when CC had when we had like incentives to make CC good, right? Even when we had incentives to make CC, or to use crowd control to go into late game missions, right? Go really late in endless missions. I would argue that even then, it didn't really fit well with the gameplay style of Warframe, right? Warframe's like all about the horde shooter, right? It's an entire game made around like, I think like maybe it's not the first game that did this, but my first experience with this was like Gears of War 1 and like the horde mode, where you would just, you know, withstand as long as possible against a giant horde of enemies. That's like the thing that Warframe immediately that immediately jumped into my mind when I started playing Warframe and really got into it for the first time, did my first defense mission. That's what I was thinking of. And I mean, in this case, though, we're getting loot for completing the rounds of killing enemies. So what you want, what is this fucking doing here? What you want here is you want to kill a lot of enemies as fast as possible, and abilities that like knock enemies out and like hide them behind walls don't really fit in with that, right? Things that stop enemies from coming to you so you can butcher them don't fit in with like the Warframe power fantasy, and just like this, like what I'm doing right now, where I'm beating enemies down. I don't want them like fucking hiding in a corner somewhere so I have to hunt them down. I want a onslaught of enemies charging me in the face, and I just want to beat the shit out of them and kill them. And so I'm like 100% behind that sentiment, right? I think that is very fun. And the problem is that some CC in the game is built pretty well to fit with that. Most of it isn't, though. Like Nidus's 2, perfect. Valbon's vacuum ability, amazing. Speed Nova. Nova's ultimate, actually, in general. If you really want to do some really tough mission where you need the slow, you've got that. Or you can go negative power strength and speed enemies up, making them more dangerous and allowing you to kill them faster at the same time. That's beautiful. That's like, that's just perfect. I mean, I already extolled the virtues of Nova and why is Nova so great. And I think it's like, it's so great. It's a great design for crowd control of a sort. Of course, you know, when you're using her ultimate like that, it's not even crowd control, it's anti-crowd control. But, you know, it has that dual purpose. So once in a while, when you really want that, you've got it available. You know, Nyx doesn't have some shit like that. Nyx's fucking, you know, abilities are always just going to be irritating more than helpful in current day Warframe. And they weren't even, you know, the most favorite thing in the past. Like a lot of something I realized was that a lot of people really like loved the idea of irradiating disarm Loki. Well, you know, I played Loki a lot actually back in the day when that was a thing, and we did like Tower 4, you know, survivals and defense and stuff. It turns out leaving off the radiating part is, you know, like mostly better, honestly. You know, you don't want enemies to be rad proc. You want them to charge at you with batons drawn so you can fucking kill them. Anyway, so I don't know if the solution is 100% to just rework all frames to be more like that, but I think it maybe is a little bit. I think, you know, the new frames, we keep seeing like new frame concepts that like have this type of crowd control that's just not useful in the kind of game that Warframe is. And we've got some old frames like that too, and I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. And I'd love to see stuff like, imagine if Nyx's Chaos was reworked so it was like some kind of huge range taunt that like actually sped up enemies and caused them to charge towards like the center point or something. You know, that would be CC of a kind, and cool, and would fit pretty well, I think, with the kind of game Warframe is. But I don't know. There's a lot more issues with it than just like fixing one ability on Nyx. So it's kind of a tough situation, like issue. I just hope DE starts doing some things to address it instead of just being like, shrug, CC frames are bad. Yeah. Anyway, to get back to the chat, yeah, PvP Addicted, I agree. I don't really like what they did with Maniacs, and they just like toned them down. Actually, Burses really like got me the same way. Burses came out, I played against Burses. Did I have a hard time killing Burses? Not really. I felt like they were an enemy for players like me, who had a lot of good stuff, like equipment at the time, and you know, liked some of the few rare challenging aspects of Warframe, even though it is a more casual game. And I don't know, man, I wish they had been kept closer to their original state. They could have used some reworks, like the fact that they didn't have a turn rate when they first came out. That was a little bullshit, not gonna lie, but I don't think they were too powerful for us to deal with when they were released, honestly. I think it's probably the same thing is true of the Maniacs, although I didn't have to deal with them much when they came out, I don't think. So, not as much experience as with the whole Bursa thing. I think they like over-nerf a lot of enemies too much. Like, I'm actually kind of glad in a lot of ways that as irritating as nullifiers are, I don't really agree with some of the way they treat abilities. Like, for example, Rhino's Iron Skin instantly falls off instead of having some kind of drain mechanic. I'd like to see more drain mechanics, less instant fall off of some kind of abilities like that. But overall, I'm actually pretty pleased with how nullifiers work in this game because, you know, as much as people bitch about them, the reason people bitch about them is because they're practically the only thing that provides you with even the slightest inconvenience to your rampage of carnage in the game. And, you know, some aspects about it are fairly bullshit, but the game needs a little bit of challenge, or at least some challenge in like certain aspects of content for people who want it. It would be nice anyway. So I don't know. Ancients too. I think Ancients also hit a pretty good note. They don't actually trouble you too often, but they have some like good reasons for existing. They stop some really more bullshit AoE combos, and you can still deal with them relatively easily. They're a pretty smart one because, like, you know, they don't even have like the nullifier bubble that interferes with your weapons, right? You got them. You just gotta pinpoint them in a crowd of enemies and kill them, and then they won't be a problem for you. You know, I wish that some of the they have some boss enemies in this game that are a little bit, well, some of them are shit, and some of them aren't so bad. Like, I want to say Ambulus was probably one of the better. Wait, am I thinking of the right one? Ambulus, or is it, fuck, what's the one that was like the event boss? It's like a learning robot and had a big like spinning laser and shit. I forget what it was called. I think I want to say that was Ambulus, but I want to see bosses like that in more shit. Like I feel like they're relegating some of their stuff that could be cool everyday enemies to these special missions, you know? Why don't we have Ambulus just like show up as like a every 10 waves, Ambulus Reborn, Yeah, have Ambulance Reborn just get like dropped in every 10 waves, or maybe a slightly weaker version of it in Corpus Endless missions. And then when you drop those cool bosses like that, have that wave give extra rewards or something, or a chance for some rare mod drop that's cool, or whatever, you know, like a little special drop table, reward us a little extra for it, and have it be kind of a more normal part of gameplay. And, you know, a lot of other things could do with stuff like that. Yeah, hyenas are pretty annoying too. Especially beefed up. If you had them beefed up, they would be. I don't see why we can't have more missions where we just get these like kind of tough enemies dropped in on us from time to time for additional rewards. A lot of mission types could do with stuff like that, like Void Fissures. I'd love to see like a corrupted ambulance just like show up and fuck you over. So maybe like Sanctuary Onslaught could probably use some of that. Maybe regular missions too, even. All right. All right. Let's see. I think I am gonna need to blow some more money on this guy. I don't have any XLS adapters. Ugh, getting broke. All right. XLS adapter. Play something like Blind Rage, and then I don't have quite enough for Power Drift. All right. So let's see. Realistically, am I ever going to unequip Vitality on Atlas? Probably not. Maybe I need another Depolarity. That's probably the most flexible option, probably. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Let's Forma for that. Shit, what just got unequipped from that slot? What the fuck was it? It was a wipe. Oh, nope. Continuity, I think. Yeah, that's actually more important to me than more strength. Corinth is maxed out. So I have another weapon. I don't actually need to level this. Yeah, I don't have any other weapons I need to level. I think I'll just have the Tonbo handy. Yeah. Seems good. I don't really want to, but I really need to like grind for Orokin cells while I've got this resource booster. 12 more hours on it. Probably do it like tonight or early tomorrow morning. But I don't want to. But I'm finally running out of Orokin cells. The last time I grinded for them was at least like 2.5 years ago. So it's been a pretty good run, thanks Draco. But I kind of need some now, so... Let's see here. Yeah, Once Upon a Time. I actually should check all my rare materials. Like, there was a while. When was this? Like, there was a basically Once Upon a Time, not sort of long ago. There was a double resource weekend that I was around for, and I bought a double resource booster, or I bought a double resource booster and a resource drop chance booster, and I haven't had any need to grind for resources in Warframe since then. And it wasn't the most recent one either. It was like a year ago or more. And yeah, it's really carried me far. But I've started to run out of the Orokin cells because I built a bunch of stuff that really needed them that I hadn't built yet. And I think I need something else too. Maybe there might be something else I'm low on. Although I still haven't run out of energy pizza from that great grind session. Did one huge run on Uranus. Uranus, yeah. And I don't even know, got like 120,000, 150,000 plastids or something in one run. It wasn't even that long. It was under an hour, at least. Pretty good. You bring like, I don't think I even had a Smeeta Kavat, but you bring a Smeeta Kavat, you get that double resource weekend. They haven't given us one of those in a very long time, but get your boosters and you go nuts. Tell you what, next time that happens, I'm going to Earth, though. I'm going to be on the Plains of Eidolon fucking mining until my fingers fall off in agony. Actually, I should do that. I should do that tonight. Oh, I don't want to do that. I hate mining so much. If they could have just made mining fun like fishing. And fishing is like feels so rewarding by comparison to mining. You need relatively fewer of the resources from fishing. Fish have a lot of resources in them when you cut them up. Only one of the primary one, but yeah. Oh, and the resource booster also boosts those stupid fucking little wisps. Cetus wisps. Jesus Christ, you need so many of those things. It's probably a good way to make plat too, honestly, if I just actually like just went there and just, you know, farmed resources till I couldn't handle it any more than built entire sets of arcanes. I got trapped for a second there. Oh. Love the punch. I love the punch. And let's see, what's the base range on this? I don't know, it's not maxed out, but it's what is it? Yeah, it's kind of a small radius, but it is fully affected from whatchamacallit. The ores. You can buy the crafted ores from players, like after they craft them in the foundry, I believe. Yeah. The fish parts. I actually did that for some of the stuff because I didn't want to, because the rep grind is so insane. Although really the thing to do is to like go to recruiting chat and try and find someone who's a real bro that's got the right fish baits so that you never have to grind the fish things. I probably need to do that. I actually hate rep grinding on Cetus too because honestly I think that the oh, let's start it there. I think that the bounties are pretty shit, honestly. I don't like them. I mean, they're not so different from other missions, but they're kind of like regular missions with parasitic Xmas. Oh, this must be some faction attacked somebody, right? I was looking at this like, what the fuck is this doing here? Like, what the actual shit? Although, you know, actually, all right, on a tangent from me, or unrelated to me hating the Plains of Eidolon content that's not the actual Eidolons, I actually rather like the Eidolons, mostly other than some of the complaints I laid out in my one video on them. It'd be really cool if DE started an event with like out remark and had some weird shit to start happening, and maybe like a day later they sent out an announcement, and then the announcement was like in-game characters being like, shit's been going down for the last day. You know, just have some infested start spawning in random normal Grineer missions and attacking everything and confusing people and having maybe better or different drops than usual, and yeah. Definitely having a lot more fun with Atlas than when I first got him and started trying him out. Not that he was exactly unfun at the time, but they fixed a couple issues, like little buggy things with his ore and stuff. No one wants to go? Okay, fine. They fixed some buggy issues with his ore and stuff, I know. I was gonna say, oh yeah, when I tried him out, I actually first got him right when he had like all the fucking issues right after his rework, and like the rubble decayed insanely quickly, and I need to get this stuff, don't I? Shit. Alright. Rubble decayed insanely quickly, and I don't know what other issues there were really off the top of my head, but I know they fixed a bunch of things, and yeah, it feels a lot better to play. I like that you can just stack up to like 1500 armor. Pretty good, pretty darn good. He's no Nidus or Inaros, but you know, combined with the fact that you become invulnerable while punching, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Feels good. I like it. Oh, yes. I'm pretty sure, I actually don't know off the top of my head. I might have mentioned this before, but pretty sure the radius on my punch scales with the Riven I've got too. Which, you know, I'm not really a fan of abilities being only good if you combine a Riven with them. Like I saw this post where someone's like, hey, Cora's Whip's not that bad after all, and it's like them attacking an enemy that has no armor, basically. The leaper that multiplies your damage it takes itself by like 10 or 15 times or some nonsense, and so it's like the most ideal scenario conceivable. It may or may not have been hit with a Nova ult as well, and they're doing like 2 million damage, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's nice, but you used a Riven on the weapon with the highest Riven disposition in the game to achieve that, first off, and then before that, you were probably doing 200,000 damage due to the giant multiplier that enemy type takes in damage. And then also you were getting buffed by your allies. Like, come on. It's a pretty in-depth situation you achieved there for it to be good. Whereas Atlas's punch, I gotta say, like if you have like just some shitty mods on your, like 2 mods on your melee weapon, you're gonna hit for like 40 or 50,000 because its base damage is insane. And its animation is relatively quick, and yeah, that's what I gotta say about that. It's just it's very nice. And then when you abusively boost it, it becomes stupid instead of starting out bad and then eventually becoming good. Which is why I appreciate it. Actually, a lot of it comes down to the combo, right? The 4x combo you get. A very good balancing factor. I think they should make that standard for similar abilities. I think Cora's Whip should have it too, honestly, even if they needed to nerf the base stats a little bit, because like it's this thing where they don't want you to be like just slapping someone in the face for 500,000 damage or whatever with your punch on the first hit. But if you can do that on the third hit, right, that's a little more balanced because it just makes your time to kill less stupid versus very high level enemies. And okay, I get that. It makes sense. It works for me. But you can still, in a fairly brief period of time, 3 hits, get to that point where you're dealing crazy amounts of damage. And that's why I like Atlas's punch. And I don't like Cora's Whip that much. And I wish they would just make any such one abilities where it's like some kind of pseudo melee, you know, just bullshit. I wish they'd make it like work like Atlas's punch, because it works great. It's a beautiful template to build off of, in my opinion. You know, I think I got time for one more Hydron mission. I actually gotta head out. So I guess my promise of playing some Dominion, streaming some Dominions 4 is all lies. I might be able to pack some in Saturday. Maybe I'll do that. Or Dominions 5 actually, since you know, I still call it Dominions. Call it Dominions 4 Dominions, or Dominions 5 Dominions 4. Yeah, I might be able to pack some in Saturday, but I gotta get out. I gotta head out in a bit and get some groceries, which I hadn't really considered before now. It's been shit. I don't even know when I started. 5? I started at 5.4 something. I wonder what the Dota 2 mutation is. Hey, anyone watching pay attention to Dota at all? Because if you do at all, I highly recommend you watch the latest Dota WTF video, especially if you have no idea what that is, because they're hilarious. I was watching that right before streaming. Actually, I was kind of feeling out of it. Wasn't really gonna do I was planning to do a stream today for a little while, and I wasn't gonna do it because I felt terrible. But I watched that video and it was so fucking hilarious. I was just laughing my ass off, and I was like, you know, this put me in a really good mood. I still got a headache, but I should just do a little stream, you know, have some good times playing games. Absolutely hilarious. But, you know, I think I want to say my conspiracy theory is that Ice Frog schemed up mutation mode in Dota purely to give the guys at Dota WTF more content because he likes them. That's my pet theory. It's the only reason it exists is to give them more just retarded stuff to fucking make videos about. It's like Rumble Trail effect. Could probably use spiffing up though. It's a little wonky, especially when going through the air. But whatever. Who am I to complain? Or not particles, but leaving like trail effects like that it's actually more finicky than you'd think. So I shouldn't really talk shit. Oh, I'm out of oh fuck. Undying Will, bleed out reduction. Those mods. Oh, there are just so many. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, jeez. There are just so many bad mods in the game. So many. You know, yeah. The more I just run around in these missions, the more I feel like it is his passive probably. That's like kind of the MVP of Atlas's kit. I gotta say. Not that I've been using any ability other than punching in his passive, but you know, I feel like it kind of is. I kind of hate to give the MVP to a passive again because I did it with Inaros basically, and the passive not even being his fucking base stats, not even really a pass, not an actual passive. Although his actual passive ties into it really well. Because I'm like more and more I'm becoming a really big fan of these frames, like Saren to a certain extent. Definitely Inaros and Nidus, definitely Atlas, that are in this situation where they are very self-reliant, right? He can heal himself, he buffs himself up, he can, with the help of the Rage mod, just one mod, since he can already heal himself, have his own energy supply that, you know, is like sufficient to do stuff, whatever he needs to do. Has some baked-in energy efficiency with his one that's spammable. Whereas there are a decent number of frames like Saren, despite her other self-sufficiency, who do not have that baked in. They're like one ability is a thing they need to spam, or some other ability is a thing they need to spam, and it's very costly to spam it. Sometimes for good reason, balancing purposes, but still. There's the situation where, you know, I can just spam my one. And it's effective, and it's easy, and it doesn't cost me that much energy, and I have a mechanic to heal myself, and then I can use that mechanic to heal myself to give myself energy, or at least to help sustain my energy overall. And it just ties it together really well, and it's what makes him, like, very low hassle, I feel like, to play. I don't have to like be popping energy pizzas all the time because I'm not playing with the Trinity. And there are certainly warframes where like you don't necessarily have to do that, like have to per se, but it's like the most effective way to play them. And in fact, it's so much more effective than other ways to play them that you probably ought to do it if you really want to be super effective and complete missions quickly. Which, you know, isn't the be-all end-all, but it's fairly important. It's a thing you're encouraged to do in the game, so, you know. There's something to that, I feel like. Oof. Alright, well, someone else is extracting, I guess I will too. Alright, I think I am going to call it quits here, get my shoes on, get ready to head out. But, thank you all for watching. I'm going to try and... I haven't streamed in quite a while, but I'm going to try and do another one kind of soon, right? Maybe tomorrow. I'd really like to maybe stream a little Dominions. I was actually planning on... If I hadn't forgotten that I actually, you know, had shit to do today, I'd like to get some more stuff and maybe play some World of Tanks, you know. I do that too from time to time. I'm not very good at it, but hey, you know, it's a fun and different game. Gives me a good leverage point to talk about, like, developers that are like stupid, shitty developers that, you know, shit on their customers and yet still make a game that's fun somehow, you know, like it's kind of a weird phenomenon, I feel like, but it's a thing. And, yeah, maybe do some other stuff. Do some Siege or Dota 2. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Yakri out. No. You know, I like signed off and I didn't have the stream window up to close it, so, you know, still here. But, yeah, see you guys.